Yay! Welcome to today's live stream. I am Old New Dude. She is.
I am Liz Dated, mother of Baggins, but today, bitch Rainier to you, Jeffrey. And she is.
I'm Lady Thistle, and I'm Tyrion today.
Yep. Lizzie, will you do the honors of going through reading the comments for me?
Oh, yes, Jeffrey. Chris, first of all, Chris. Hi, Chris. Waving from the wall. Just my favorite. Jeffrey. He wanted it to be known that he beat me here, but as he didn't know that I would be here today, I was watching and mocking you for a fool. Oh, Mother Royne. It's cold here too, boo. It's got fresh snow. Oh, hi, Charles. Where's my podcast? And, oh, Richard. We wish you were here.
And then get Mother did another one.
Oh. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, like Sam. Maybe they're attracted to books. Do you have a lot of books?
Books.
Books. We have a nonstop battle here at the house with field mice, and I don't know who's winning yet. Going forward, live streams for book rereads are going to be Monday and Tuesday. Richard's not going to be able to do Wednesdays anymore. So maybe going forward, hopefully, to kick off today, we're doing a theory video. And I asked Dizzy Lizzie and Lady Thistle to join me because out of all the people that I have watched in the last couple of years, I respect their opinions more than I do anybody else's that I've watched, with the exception of a couple of people. And those couple of people aren't big names, they're smaller names. The big names are just way too full of themselves, will not listen to anybody else's theory. They would just soon argue with you to prove their point right. And as I was telling Lady Thistle yesterday, I like a conversation. And if you don't think what I think, it makes for a better conversation, because you're going to get, well, what about this? Well, can you explain that? And you're not poking holes, you're just asking questions. And if you go into it with the sole purpose of changing the other person's mind to your opinion, then you went into the conversation the wrong way. So I quit watching a lot of theory videos a while ago. One, I didn't want it to taint what I think, but I mean, taint. That's the shape that cut out on the back of my back, was that shape right there. Somewhere Richard is giggling. And but as I was telling Lady Thistle, I would rather have a conversation to be a conversation, not an argument. And there's times that I put stuff on Twitter back when it was actually Twitter, and people would yell at me and all this stuff. I'm like, no, I'm never going to do that again. And then, I mean, with Lizzie and especially Lady Thistle, I mean, some of the stuff that they say, some of the stuff they point out is mic drop moments. And
mostly, especially.
Well, yeah. But after reading the book so many times and talking about theories for so long, it is hard to get really enthusiastic about A Song of Ice and Fire. So when I have those moments watching Lady Thistle or talking to Lizzie or book club or whatever it is, and there's a mic drop or whatever, it gets goosebumps. Richard does it to me quite a bit too when he talks about stuff. But those goosebump moments make it still worthwhile talking about these books and these theories and everything. Say taint again. Taint.
Say taint.
Hey, Sanji.
Sanji.
Hello.
But as I told him yesterday, that I am 53 and a half. I am a very old school kind of guy. I know it's not politically correct anymore, but I believe ladies first. And since today is Lady Thistle's first time here, she gets the floor first. She's going to talk about whatever theory that she wants to talk about, even though I believe her outfit gives us a clue of what that theory is going to be. But hopefully you like the theory live streams. Hopefully we'll continue it. And without any further ado, please take it away, Lady Thistle.
Real quick, just want to mention also, she's literally the only one on this live stream that anyone would dare call a lady. So I think we can all agree.
Well, it's in the name, right?
Well, I chose the theory of Tyrion Targaryen
Woo!
for the theory I'd like to talk about. So I've highlighted some of my evidence, I suppose, on my face. And I don't have any Tyrion cosplay, so this is my no longer useful to me Harry Potter cosplay that I've now rebranded, and we're going with "You're a Dragon, Tyrion" as our theme for it. So
Dragon Tyrion.
You're a dragon. So
it took me a second to get that. I hope you know.
So back in college, way back, I did a paper. We were supposed to do a paper on whatever biology topic we wanted for the end of the semester. And I chose chimerism for my paper because it's fascinating. So when I first read A Song of Ice and Fire and I read Tyrion's description, immediately I'm like, Tyrion is a chimera, because, you know, most people would never realize that they were a chimera. We don't test our DNA like that. Sometimes, you know, it happens. Like, there's a story of a woman who was going to donate a kidney to her son, I think. I'm pretty sure it was a kidney. And they went and tested the DNA and realized that she was not his mom, you know? And like, so you just find out in ways like that, that she's consists of multiple sets of DNA. And so her kidney DNA isn't a match for her son, you know, because technically it belongs to her twin, right? So it's the idea that non-identical twins merge in the womb and one baby is formed containing multiple sets of DNA. It's rare, but we don't even know how rare, because like I said, it's not super obvious and we don't test for it. But in the ways that it is kind of obvious and can be assumed is when the phenotype presents differently. Like, whoa, the camera's backwards. That messes me up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it takes a while to get used to, trust me.
Like the streak of black hair, right? And the two different colors of eyes, right? Those are signs that Tyrion could, in my opinion, definitely is a Targaryen, right? And so not only that, but he has other connections to chimerism that aren't presented on his person, right? He's called the half man many times, right? Which can be obviously commentary on how tall he is, but can also be wordplay, right? Half man, half something else, right? Like a
George definitely loved his wordplay.
Yeah,
George loves his wordplay.
And so, you know, they call him half man. He matches with the chimera in the sense that people are always referring to him as a gargoyle, which is something that was commonly a chimera as well. So it kind of brings us to like what does that mean for his story, right? And so I know I'm not the first person to say this. I know this isn't my original. I'm not the only one to come up with this theory, so everybody kind of knows where this is going. That reference by Barristan to the liberties that Aerys took with Lady Joanna, I believe are hint as to who Tyrion's other father is. So the theory is that Tyrion isn't just twins, right? Common in his family already, merged together. He's twins of two separate fathers, Tywin and Aries merge together in the womb, right?
Oh.
Which can happen. It's extremely rare. You have to get pregnant by two separate men during the same cycle, essentially. But it does happen. It's not impossible, so.
Okay.
I mean,
do
go
you
ahead.
think he's
No, I mean,
those two, like,
I
damn.
I was thinking that it was two little swimmers going to the same egg, but when you said that, two separate actual babies, one a Targaryen and one a Lannister merging, that was a mic drop because I'd never even heard that, and now I got goosebumps.
Do you think that
so
sperm tricked his way in? Like,
yeah, I mean, there was a movie one time, I forget what it was, The Beast Within or something like that, or it might have been another one where the egg was fertilized, and then this monster came and did the no, and his swimmer was like a nuclear missile, and then came in and refertilized the egg and basically overtook it. And I was kind of thinking that was what was going on, was two different swimmers from two different men fertilize the same egg, and then that's what we get as Tyrion. But when you just said that about the two separate babies merging, which I mean, it's done at the microscopic level, all that I understand that, but that was, oh my goodness, I love it.
Charles says he thought Sia goes to Hogwarts. She was swinging from all the chandeliers and she got booted out. And then she wrote a song about it, and they were all sorry.
That's right.
Welcome.
That's right.
Yeah,
No, so like there's more hints to it, right? We get the dream of Tyrion, and he has two heads, right? One is laughing and one is weeping as he does his slaughter. We also have the dreams of dragons that he has, right? So he thinks like, I think multiple times, like he thinks about how he dreamed of having a dragon of his own when he was a child, which obviously we know is something common in Targaryen children.
Right. And Pod says he was described like a baby Targaryen, like baby Targaryens have been described elsewhere too. That's what he says.
Thanks, Pod. Quick question then. Would his downward arc in the storyline also be contributed to his Targaryen blood? Especially since it's the Mad King's blood, giving that every time a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin, and the whole world holds their breath, waiting to find out what the answer is. So, could that contribute to some of the reasons why Tyrion is going to be a very nasty person by the time this story's over with? Or is it just that's who he always was, and just as the world made Jaime who he is, the world made Tyrion who he is, just by circumstance? Or is it bloodline also?
I don't really like the idea that the bloodline is tainted or whatever. Like, I think it takes away a lot of what causes people to go down some dark path, which is their environment, their experiences, the world around them. You know what I mean? Like Tyrion doesn't have to have some kind of tainted, possibly mad king blood to go on the path that he's going. Like he's been done dirty.
Redeem himself.
He's been done dirty since before he was even born. Like,
yeah.
And so I don't know that it's necessary for.
I think he meant it when he looked in the court at his trial and was like, "I wish I was the monster you all think that I am. It would be so much easier if I was." And I think he meant that. I think right now he is the monster, and I don't think that's it for him, though. I don't think he'll end.
Well, it raises the question again: nurture over nature. I mean, we are what our surroundings made us to be, but there are certain tendencies that are inherently instinctual. Um, every day I see more of my mother in me, especially when I look in the mirror. But there's certain things that I do that she used to do that drove me crazy. I hated it, swore I'd never do it. And is that just because she did it and I was witness to it, or is it DNA? Because my genetic looks, just about everything about me, I inherited from my mother. Height, eye color, hair color, nose, ears, everything I got from my mother. And there are certain things that she did that through the years, I was the same person, even though I didn't want to be. So is that I grew up around it, or is that a DNA thing? Or is it a little bit of both?
Probably both.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're heavily influenced by the parent or adult figure, parental figure that spent the most time around us when we were kids. Like,
right.
I'm the same way. My mom, like, I look like her, but when it comes to our mannerisms, the way we speak, the things we say, the way we move, like, that is what really makes it creepy, is that I could be like a copy of her.
Or like when we're all on the phone and your mom comes in and says hello, and like the same way your sister does, or like it could be either or of them. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if it is a little bit of both, even though we're not going to put a whole lot of stock, even though I think George R. R. Martin is putting a lot of stock in the DNA in this storyline, Tyrion already had, seeing how it's half his bloodline, a half a foot in the grave as far as where his psyche will end up later on. Being that it is part Targaryen, it's not set in stone, but under the circumstances that Tyrion grew up in, then it became set in stone,
right?
Because of both, but maybe a little more on the surroundings of it versus the bloodline.
And Mother Royan says, first she said the vestigial tail, which there was, like we hear from the Red Viper himself. He's like, we heard you had a tail, and what a disappointment. And she also says her son wrings his hands like her grandmother, a person he never met. Do you wring your hands like that, Mother Royan? Like, has he ever seen that, or is that just something that, do you think, trickled right on down from, which is actually kind of, cool.
Well, it's like witchcraft. It always skips a generation.
Witch.
Yeah. Also, like, when it comes to the DNA, it doesn't have to be half either. You know what I mean? Like, there's cases where,
right,
you contain your twin's DNA, but only in specific organs. Like, your heart, is all this set of DNA, and the rest of your body is this other set of DNA. It just depends on how the two sets of DNA mash together, because it could be like literally just the streak and the eye, and that's it. Or Tyrion could be almost all Targaryen, like.
I have to look this shit up now. I hope you know. You've given me homework without knowing you gave me homework.
The side effect of hanging out with Lady Thistle.
I know.
Intentionally, that's how she tricks you into learning.
All of a sudden, you're looking up every name that you read.
Yeah. Let's see. What's Charles say? Genetics are super complicated, but traits usually come up after 1 or 2 generations.
Charles has like a little him and a little his husband.
Mother says he was born in 1991. She passed in 1986. I don't wring my hands. He does it under pressure. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is very, very interesting. That would be an instinctual thing then, right?
Yeah.
If it's under pressure, it's a non-thought process, so it would be instinctual.
Subconsciously, he's
Mhm.
interesting.
Oh wow! Now, did you run into any of that with your chimera research, Lady Thistle?
You mean about like whether or not traits are passed on that
Right,
way?
right.
No, I didn't really look too far into that. I mean, I know that scientists are still debating whether or not it's, like nature versus nurture, like, and how each of those things affect. It's something that's really difficult to do a scientific study on, I would imagine, because humans are so complicated. So, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I don't know about that, but
Well,
I
I mean,
did
I'm
look up a
assuming
lot of.
each case is a case by case basis, though, wouldn't you think?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's so
Yeah,
different that it's hard to do a study that really can encompass it all and tell you for sure,
One, you would have to identify all the different chimera bloodlines that are available for the research. Then you would actually have to find out the percentage of what DNA is this, what DNA is that.
Oh yeah.
To try to,
yeah,
I mean,
Like,
yeah,
identify them
how would it
all.
be impossible to do this?
I
Yeah,
don't think you could really do that.
finding
No,
them even.
no. Well, I mean, you told me that give you 5 minutes that you would sell me on the Tyrion Chimera, and as soon as you said the two twins, basically one's a Lannister and one's a
Yeah,
Targaryen. That that's what I
Yeah.
always had the problem with was the process in which it took, and I can't remember if Richard went into it, but I just automatically assumed it was like the movie I saw and
Mhm.
two swimmers, and I was like, oh, I don't know. But with the two twins, I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm 89% on your team.
Yeah. Well, I want to mention another thing is that, like in mythology, a chimera, right? Body of a lion with a head of a goat, like a second goat head in a lot of depictions, and then the tail of a serpent with a serpent's head on the end of the tail. So it's a goat, lion, serpent.
three
Which,
heads.
Is there one that has three heads? A lion, a goat,
yeah,
something else, and the serpent tail?
no, that's it. The three heads: the serpent head, the goat head, and the lion head.
Lion head.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And so that ties in, right, to the Targaryen, Lannister, goat man. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
whole situation Tyrion has going on, and he has those dreams of that second head, which, makes me think of Chimera as well. And then finally his connection to the Sphinx too. Like, I think he is the Sphinx. I think he is the Sphinx in the, the Sphinx is the
Sphinx
riddle,
is the
not
riddle.
Riddler. Like,
Okay.
I think Tyrion is the Sphinx. A Sphinx is a chimera. Actually, the Sphinx is the child in mythology of the chimera. And right, the Sphinx strangles people. Like, it poses this riddle. I think Tyrion's riddle is, where do whores go? That's the riddle.
Yes,
He walks around posing to random people
everyone.
who are not interested in like
Yeah.
dealing with him right now. Like, but so
Doesn't
yeah,
he ask the old lady on the bridge that they're in, that where Penny attacks him? Doesn't he ask her where old whores go to, or
Yes,
where whores go?
maybe I don't remember
I
all
can't
everyone.
of
remember.
that.
Or when he comes
I know it's a
across.
few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally everywhere.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I definitely think Chimera Tyrion.
Good.
And yeah, I could keep going, but that would just take us into more other theory territory we don't need to get into right now. But
Yeah, I understand. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you, you've got me pretty much sold on it. Richard had me a lot of the way there, but like I said, there were certain things that just, I mean, kind of didn't add up in my mind. But I mean, pointing out the dragon dreams, the dreaming of the second head, like the goat head, the two twins being absorbed in the womb. I mean, it's Lady Thistle. I mean, I've already told you there's not too much that you have said that the minute you've said it, I've been like, okay, I'm all on board. I mean, I'm good to go. But yeah, that was another one. Let me read Mother's real. My father needed a kidney transplant. Tricked mom into later telling me I would have been a match. He never got the transplant, but too ill. But I knew. Also, love the theory. Took a minor in the classics in college. Yeah, Richard, don't take this personally, Lizzie. This is a completely different category than what me and you do. But Richard and Lady Thistle are my two encyclopedias.
Yeah, look, I've said a million times in the fandom, there's mind blowers and there's mind blowns. And they are mind blowers. Like, I'm a mind blown all the time.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've said it before. That's the main reason why I love the live streams with Richard redoing the chapters.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying it because he's watching today. I said it to him camera to camera before. Is we're like the odd couple. I go off of instinct and gut and okay, why did George actually? Because like I told Lady Thistle yesterday, every word that George puts in these stories has a reason for it. Like the Southerners don't recognize a Northern wedding in front of a heart tree. Well, the only reason he put it there is to where Halter Tully wouldn't recognize Ned being married to Ashar. I mean, there's a reason for, but I mean, he's the encyclopedia. Yeah, he's the encyclopedia, and I'm the guy on the street corner selling knockoff Rolexes. I mean, I go off my gut. I don't do a whole lot of research. Because I'm lazy. But I mean, we complement each other pretty well. And Lady Thistle, I put in that same category as she's an encyclopedia. She's looked up this name, every name, this and that and the other. For when she says a theory, it is well thought out. She doesn't say anything that doesn't need to be said for the theory. I mean, yeah, she doesn't say it just to hear the sound of her voice or to just add the number of words. It's like some of the bigger channels, and Lady Thistle will know which one I'm talking about. I couldn't watch their videos because it just was too many words. I mean, it was just like a word salad nonstop. And it's like it's too much for my brain to comprehend. Lady Thistle doesn't waste words when she's telling you a theory. She tells you what she's looked up, why she looked it up. This is the reason why I think this theory is that, and that's it. That's all you get. You don't get filler. With me, you get a lot of rants, and I'll get off topic. It's because I love talking. I love the sound of my voice. It's just ask my wife; she'll tell you. But yeah, you sold me, Lady Thistle, on the period.
You guys are being way too nice.
Mind blown.
Uncomfortable.
Lady Thistle.
No. Okay. Is this an infomercial for on LT?
It's not a cult.
This is my cult, by the way. I've been
not a cult. Corn?
Getting people together.
Did I miss one? Sanjay said Tyrion equals Sphinx. Yeah, that was the other thing. Lady Thistle is the best. I know he says hello to the Sphinx when he goes into the small chambers or whatever it's called. And when you said Sphinx, then I'm thinking of that. I'm like, oh, I'd never put that together at all.
Neither, at all.
I'm still thinking of Old Town. I'm still thinking of Alaris, the person that's called the Sphinx. But if you stop and think about it, that is way too obvious for George to tell you there's a character. Yeah, I mean, I took it hook, line, and sinker.
Me too.
I told Lady Thistle yesterday, George uses our assumptions against us and will set that hook to drag you one way when you should have been going the other. So that was freaking awesome on the Sphinx. Is this an infomercial on LT? Jason Statham was discovered selling knockoff Rolex watches on the street.
Get to work, dude.
I taught him everything he knows, all those moves. I mean, you should see me in my younger days. That's all I gotta say. I have more hair than he does, even though he has more abs than I do now.
Tell all memoir coming later this year.
Okay. Anything when you want to add on that, Lady Thistle, at all? Or are you good on the
No, I'm
material?
good. I'm good.
I think you covered it quite well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Now, Lizzie Dizzy Lizzie. What's your theory?
I just have questions. I was messaging with Lady Thistle last night because I was having other crazy thoughts, and I started thinking of like the Tower of Joy being pulled down and turned into cairns, and then I was like, wait, has anybody ever seen these things? Has anybody ever gone to look at them? No attraction. Like, you would think somebody would want to go and see like where Arthur Dane fell. He was the sword of the morning, and no one cares to see. And then she posed the question, how did Ned know that Rhaegar called it the Tower of Joy? Was that like a known fact that he called it that? Did Lyanna tell him? So mostly I pose these questions. What the fuck, over? You know? Like,
Yeah. Okay. On I talked to I've said this before. This is the one theory that I got yelled at from different people on Twitter about. I think that the babies were born in Winterfell, and after a month or two, Lyanna's headed down south. She gets an infection. There's bloodletting at the Tower of Joy, is the bed of blood. But we're told that Howland Reed can turn earth to water, water to earth, and can make castles turn to water, or make castles disappear, whatever it is. Well, if you could turn earth to water, okay, stone castles and keeps are stone. That's part of earth. So he could take that whole castle and just turn it to water. It's not Ned tearing it down stone by hand. It's Howland Reed that did away with the castle. I don't think anybody was buried there. I think people had things to do. I think that a lot of them went back north with Ned. And the reason I think that they went back north, and I think Tormund is Lord Willem Dustin, is because he had to return that red stallion back to Lady Dustin because he could not keep it at Winterfell because it made the trip from south back to Winterfell. Dustin goes north of the wall to try to become king beyond the wall type thing. He couldn't keep the stallion because it would be recognized. He had to return it. Well, the first or second video that I did was the unknown swap. And I got the idea after watching Orlando Greenhand's Tormund and John's video about they swap places. It's actually Tormund being stabbed. I thought it was a pretty interesting theory. Then I got thinking about the Tower of Joy, because we're specifically told, and then there's Sir Arthur Dane with the sword Dawn sticking out from his back, and in the Order of Greenhand's theory, Longclaw was the article that Tormund used to pull forth a glamour. I'm like, well, couldn't Rhaegar pull forth a glamour from Dane's sword Dawn? I mean, it's a well-known sword. He could pull the image from it type situation. So, I mean, it's in my mind, it's possible, even though slim and it's tenfold, that any information that Ned has on the Tower of Joy, he could possibly have gotten from Rhaegar himself when they had the big powwow and Howland Reed's talking about the war to come. This is what everybody needs to be doing. I do think that some of that information was removed from Ned's mind because there were certain things that he probably, as honorable as he is, would be comfortable with, or that he like sending his own son across the sea or whatever it is. So the Howland Reed messed with his mind a little bit because he seems to have some time loss.
Right.
And
but
I kind of rambled there. Sorry.
No, it's okay, because my questions are like, we hear these stories. We hear the story from Ned. Ned talks about, he wouldn't be here if not for Howland Reed. Do we ever hear anybody in the South telling the story of like this, when Arthur Dane falls is one question, and then a follow-up question. It's like this story. It's almost like, you know how Daenerys is like, I was born in the midst of a great storm, but it's like no one ever talks about this storm besides her. So we know Ned told his children the story of the Tower of Joy, but like, have we ever heard anybody else tell the story? And then when I did message Lady Thistle about this, like, remember when I was like, there's mind blowns and mind blowers. I mean, she just came back and blew my mind, and I'll give the floor to her there because I don't want to like F it all.
Oh, well, that wasn't even my idea. You had sent me the questions about the Tower of Joy last night, and I went to the Wikipedia, the A Song of Ice and Fire wiki, and somebody had said they think maybe it's it's like in the description at the bottom that it's possibly named after the Joyous Guard, which is a castle of Sir Lancelot in the King Arthur stories.
Yes.
And so when I looked that up, I found that it's the place that Lancelot brought Guinevere after there was like a death sentence put on her for the affair between her and Lancelot. Like Arthur put some kind of death sentence on her. I don't know the stories. Somebody else, I'm sure, is an expert at this, and I wish I knew more. But
you got homework now,
right? Lancelot has this affair with Guinevere. She gets a death sentence for it, and then he takes her back to this castle called Joyous Guard
before going into exile.
Yeah, before going into exile. Yeah.
I gotta write that down. Hold on. No book.
So that's new. I haven't looked any more into it than that. Like I just saw that last night on the Wiktionary or Wikipedia or whatever it's called.
You said Joyous Guard?
Yep. Yeah.
You ever need to write something, you grab a pen, that way you would know it would work, and then the damn thing doesn't work.
Fooled you.
Yeah. Joyous Guard.
Yeah, that led me down such a delightful rabbit hole.
How much damn research did George R. Martin do to write these books?
Yeah,
I know he was a historian to begin with, so a lot of the War of the Roses information he already knew, but all the Nordic names, I think
he references mythology so much too. Like he's constantly referencing mythology, and so he has to have been doing all that kind of research. You know what I mean? He references folklore constantly. Like it's really cool. Without discovering these books and becoming probably unnaturally obsessed with them, I never would have encountered like half the cool old stories that I have at this point. You know, I do most of it.
all into learning.
Yeah, like I do most of it because of George, because he's put these references in there, and then I'm like, oh, what's that? And I look it up, and here I am, you know, in some rabbit hole about, you know, Aphrodite or whatever. Like,
yeah, I love rabbit holes.
Me too.
I really love it.
Yeah, well, I get headaches sometimes trying to think of all the different things that George had to do to even get past the first book. I know the chapter Bran right there, the wolf pups, which, I mean, he wrote the scene down of them finding the wolf pups in the snow, and that was what made him decide, okay, I need to stop this other thing, and this is the story I'm going to write. And he didn't say he wrote the whole first chapter of Bran. It was just that toward the end where they found the wolf pups. And then the most important thing in that is how Jon finds Ghost. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that King Bran and all this, and everybody knows I love Jaime. I'm like, well, if the wolf pup situation was the first thing he wrote that made him go, I have got to tell this story. Right. Then in my mind, Jon was the most important character.
Yeah. He's the John that brings the light.
Exactly. But I mean, it's like using. You look up the name John. It means joy or gift or anything. He's the Jesus character. Before Mother, when we were talking about the Tower of Joy and it being gone and everything, she was like, we thought about it being Howland Reed, which I agree. Mother again, she's on fire today. We both went to Northwestern. George R. Martin and I. Also, he used to live in the apartment building my son lives in now.
Now, the most important question: do you know where he is now?
Yes,
Do you have him?
Give him to us. We'll take good care of him.
Yes, very good care. I cook quite well, so he'll definitely be well fed as he's telling us how these books finish.
You do.
He doesn't have to finish the books; he just got to tell us how they finish.
Yeah. No, my question about the Tower of Joy too, like the big question I have is, if Lady Dustin is so mad that she was never giving back the bones of her man, like,
get them bones.
Why doesn't she go get them? If everybody knows where this tower is, you know what I mean? And Ned explained to her, like, oh, we buried people there. Like, what? Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why they wouldn't retrieve the bones of their loved ones. You know what I mean? At least they like insist on it, you know, like.
Well, I tend to think that the Tower of Joy doesn't exist at all. That it all happened at Winterfell, and the Tower of Joy and Dorne is just a made up story to where they didn't have to return his bones because there's no bones to return. If they're buried down there in the cairns, then okay, I didn't bring them back. I left them there. That's where they died. Blah blah blah. I didn't bring you his bones, and then she hates him for it. But there are no bones down there to be gotten to begin with. Everything happened at Winterfell. There's no bones to return. I had to return the horse because it's a famous horse and people would know who it is. That's the only reason you got something back, even though that's not what he says.
Or any bones.
Like I don't. Yeah, but I agree with you. If she's so pissed off, why didn't she go get the bones? And George couldn't let her go get the bones because then we would know there are no bones down there to get.
There are no Karens down
there. There are no Karens. There are only Karens in real life. No Karens in the South.
No Karens.
Well,
in the South.
There's a lot of Karens in the South.
In the South, right?
Yeah. I just got through watching a video earlier today of Karens, so sorry.
Yeah, I find it all very suspicious and confusing. Just doesn't make sense to me how it all went down, the story, you know.
Right. Mother says again, like I said, she's on fire today. I theorized that he was into the Jungle Book.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
There was Alicia Patience when we were talking about mythology and everything. She had did the fairy tale connections. The huntsman, the hound being the huntsman type character, some of that. Okay. The story about Bard and a Winterfell daughter living in the tombs while she had a baby.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, George does not put words in the story unless it is for a reason. And I think that's the reason we get the Bell the Bard story is to prove, and also we get the Bran under in the crypts of Winterfell, hiding that there people can be at Winterfell and people not know it. So I mean, it's completely plausible that Rhaegar and Lyanna were in the crypts at Winterfell. The only person that knew that they were there was Benjen. Ned found out that Benjen knew all these people died in Robert's Rebellion that was based on a lie. So Benjen got sent to the wall. And then we were talking yesterday about how Benjen was butthurt that he got sent to the wall. That's not where he wanted to be. He was Lord of Winterfell from the time Lord Rickon went south for the wedding until basically the end of Robert's Rebellion and Ned came back. So he was Lord of Winterfell for over a year. And to go from Lord of Winterfell to, okay, you got to go take the black at 13, 14 years old. I mean, that's got to suck. That's got to leave a massive Grand Canyon sized wound that he got butthurt about. So
And he
I mean,
sees
that
John
would feel
being-
like betrayal. Like it really would feel like betrayal to him, I would imagine. And like that he has no real obligation to the watch. You know what I mean? Like he didn't choose it, so why should he care? You know, like
just like the singer that's over in Bravos that was forced to take the black because he slept with a girl or something, or the Lord made a pass at him. I can't remember the reason, but the reason why he was sent to the watch was stupid as hell. So I mean, in his mind, he don't know anything to the watch.
Yeah.
And then he goes over to Bravos where his voice can get him in any bar.
the moment he's got that freedom.
He's got that freedom that he should have had always. Then he took it, even though Batwoman Arya took his life and stole his boots. But I don't blame the guy. I mean, I'd have done the same thing.
I don't blame the guy for leaving. I blame the guy for being a super douche, though.
Yeah, this is true.
On him.
yeah, I mean, like,
But yeah, I mean, the either the Tower of Joy is real and Howland Reed turned it to water to where now there's no landmark marking the Karens, or everything happened at Winterfell and there is no Karens in the South. There is no Tower of Joy ever. It never existed. There has to be a reason why nobody can find the Tower of Joy. So Ned tore it down stone by stone by hand. It's just how you have to read the way that George R. Martin weaves the story and pick from this and pick from that and try to piece together what the truth is.
If there was this legendary fight of Sir Arthur Dane and that was the last place he fought, there would be songs. There would be something, like somebody would have something to say about three really big figures. The King's Guard, men of the King's Guard, not only, I mean, these aren't just nobodies. So why?
His best friend is Rhaegar. Why didn't Rhaegar make a song?
Yeah, anything. We hear nothing throughout the story about it, save from somebody who saw everything.
Well, it's limited people that actually even mention it.
Exactly.
It's
wow.
I agree. It should be little kids pretending to be Sir Arthur Dane in the streets of King's Landing. Yeah.
People should be cursing the name of the man who felled him or singing his praises or anything, but there's nothing. And that's super suspicious. Right. That's like the storm Dany was born in. I just feel like those two events are very...
Well, like I said, George puts words in there for a reason. There has to be a reason why House Dane adores Ned. There has to be a reason why they named the future Lord of Starfall Ned. I mean, there are reasons why it happened. And if Ned killed Sir Arthur Dane
and
just bring him back,
to throw herself off of a castle, like I can't imagine they'd be like, "Oh, let's remember him forever."
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, the throwing her body from the castle is just a way of getting around. There's a body.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Why does Bran see the Tower of Joy? Does he see the Tower of Joy?
In the books or in the show? I know he sees it in the show.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's in the books.
One second. Let me... If you want to talk real quick, I'll see if I can find if he says it in the books.
It's only mentioned one time. I looked it up in Wiki or Search of Ice and Fire, and the only time Tower of Joy used is that one time in that one Ned chapter. And it says it was said that Rhaegar had named the place the Tower of Joy. So
it was said.
Yeah, like who said?
Who said?
Like who?
Yeah, that's
it had to have been Lyanna. I mean, like who else is like yeah, this is what Rhaegar named that tower your sister was killed in. You know what I mean? Like what? It just seems weird. It seems weird that
Pod says Posit said, if it's the show, it's canon. Yeah.
Banned.
Redacted.
Absolutely.
Redacted.
But yeah, I can't remember if he sees it in the books or not.
Yeah, I don't think he sees it in the books.
Uh,
I'll have to look into that more.
yeah, I'll put it down on the list for homework. Tablet doesn't want to work right now.
Let's get to your theory, dude.
Okay, mine's real quick.
Winterfell.
I like a lot of my theories. There's not a whole lot in the books to back it up, and I like to think that George doesn't always just have a parade telling everybody, okay, this is the theory you need to be looking at. It's the last theory video that I did. It's the one that I know the best. I didn't have to do a whole lot of research on it because one, I didn't have a whole lot of research, and two, I'm lazy. But it is the Tormund is Lord Willem Dustin. And even Lady Thistle helped yesterday looking up a quote in the books. And I will start this theory. It was a couple of years ago. I won't name names of people in live streams, but I visited 2 different live streams that I was Patreons for. And I did the $5 super chat. Could Tormund be Lord Willem Dustin? And one is like, no, Tormund is Tormund. And then just kept on going. That was all that was said. So the next night, I'm like, okay, well, they're nicer. So I'll ask that same question. Did the $5 super chat, could Tormund be Lord Willem Dustin? And the answer was, he's too young. And then, boom, that was it. That was all it was said. I mean, it was short, sweet. It's not their theory. They're not going to put a whole lot of time into it. It goes against what they think, who they think Tormund is. And Lady Thistle looked up the quote yesterday. You have old Lord Henry. Was it
Henley?
Penley?
Henley. And I think they're not. I think they're Men of the Night's Watch. Young Henley and old Henley. And young Henley
that's right.
is well past 50, and old Henley is well past 70.
Yeah. So that was my saying on the you got old Lord Dustin and you got young Lord Dustin. Old Lord Dustin is older than 70. Like I said, there's got to be a reason why George put that in the story, and I take it to use it for my theory that when somebody said young, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're young. So you have an older father that's probably in his 70s. You got who I think is Tormund at the beginning of Robert's Rebellion, past 50, would be a second father figure, possibly for Ned that just lost his brother and his father, fighting by his side during Robert's Rebellion. Thinks so much of him, takes him to the Tower of Joy with him. There's only 3 people that are mentioned at the Tower of Joy with a possession. You have Sir Arthur Dane with his sword Don. You have Oswell went with his bat helmet. And then you have Lord Dustin with his red stallion. No other person at the Tower of Joy is mentioned to have an item with them. And I take that as those 3 people are the 3 people singled out by the author, because those 3 people are definitely still alive. And then we think Sir Arthur Dane is Mance Rayder, Lady Thistle, and Richard definitely point out that the half hand is Gerald Hightower. The what's the name? The straight spear or whatever, Lady Thistle.
Gerald. Yeah, Gerald means spear lord or spear master, something like that. I can't remember.
So, king is the old king.
The young king is the old king.
The Sphinx is the riddle, not the Riddler.
But okay, and then what really got me going on this theory, I was looking up something completely different, and I got across. I was reading a cat chapter, and she was talking about her bedding ceremony, and she was talking about this person said this person said that, this person just stared, and it was Lord Willem Dustin that just stared. And we know by the Dunk and Egg stories that it was customary, or at least well advised, to have the strongest person carry the bride to where they don't fall, because we get Dunk carrying the bride. And if Lord Willem Dustin is as big and broady as Tormund is, I mean, he's one of the strongest people in the rooms, other than a Great John or that type. So I could see him carrying her. That's why he didn't say anything. He was just carrying her, staring. And then she said that he later told Ned that beholding my naked breasts made me wish I'd never been weaned. And I'm like, well, holy crap, that sounds a whole lot what I would think Tormund's personality is.
Right.
And that's kind of what took me down that path. There's not a whole lot to prove it, but there's not anything to disprove it. There's more pros and no cons. There's nothing to prove that it's not right. And there's a couple of things that could prove that it might be right.
And Richard says it was back on our old can be young discussion. The old king or the young king is the old king. And Pod says, I thought there was no Tower of Joy.
Yeah,
that's why I said Tower of Joy.
Yeah, I forget the air quotes. Tower of Joy. Yeah, I mean, I personally think that Tower of Joy could definitely have been the first keep. It's a keep that's broken. It's very distinctual of all the surrounding buildings at Winterfell. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't the access point to I'm just brain farted.
The crypts?
Yeah, the crypts. I was going, for some reason I wanted to say crypt key. I don't know why. Wasn't that near the first tower?
The place where Bran fell, yeah.
Okay. So I mean, the Tower of Joy and the first tower, I think, are the same thing, and the Tower of Joy is just a smoke screen.
Yeah, I love it. I can dig it.
Well, I figured I would have to go with a quick, short theory, and I was correct. One that I didn't have to say a whole lot of things about it, but and also on that theory, we're told repeatedly about Tormund's gold bands that have the runes on it. Okay, and the Dustins are the lords of the Barrowlands, and then the Barrows. I hope I pronounced that right. Is where the first king is buried, and you got all these old burial places throughout the Barrows. Finding, if the first king is buried there, finding old gold bands that have old runes on it is not far-fetched for the family of the lords of the Barrows. So Tormund having those gold bands with the runes on it is still another pro toward Dustin is Tormund. And I know it's a lot of stretch and there's a little thin stuff here and there, but if it helps my theory, I'm definitely going to jump all over it. And like I said, I haven't seen anything to prove that Tormund's not who I say is. There's not a single thing, other than other people think it's somebody else, and this is why they think it is. And then on the age, if his father was 70-ish, he's 50-ish at the beginning of Robert's Rebellion. 15 years later, he's over 65, pushing 70. So his hair is definitely as white as Lizzie's is now, without a doubt. He's old enough to be that character. And the reason the stallion didn't make it north of the wall is we're told in the prologue that a warhorse stallion type destrier is the wrong horse north of the wall. Mm-hmm. And I would think that a 50-year-old Northman would know that and would have knowledge of what life is like north of the wall, potentially. So he would know he could not take that horse with him. That was the reason it was left.
Right.
His knowledge of north of the wall and already being a lord, which is a leader, was one of the reasons why he was suggested to go north of the wall to try to become king beyond the wall. And I think he volunteered because he didn't like his wife, to be honest with you. It was a marriage that he didn't want. It was forced on him. And I think that Lord Willem Dustin, just like Tormund, is a player. He was spreading his seed wildly, in my opinion.
He
So
loved himself a Mormont woman.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Oh.
Go ahead.
If the Barrowlands are a bunch of grave sites for giants, then calling him Giant's Bane / Giant's Babe would make a lot of sense as well.
Yes. Well, isn't the first king supposed to be a giant?
Well, it says in the wiki that the largest hill of the region is said to contain the grave of the first king of the first men, or a king of the giants.
Dun, dun, dun.
So
that's why you're my encyclopedia. I'm gonna start calling you. I'm gonna start calling you.
My encyclopedia is right here.
There you go. I'm just gonna start calling Lady Google. Lady Google. Well, I mean that's the only theory that I 100% claim is mine. I never heard it before. It's a couple of years old for me. I looked it up. I looked it up on Reddit. That's the only reason I got a Reddit account. I can't stand Reddit. There's some mean people on there. But there's other theories that because you can ask Chris, my son. We didn't watch YouTube from the beginning. We didn't start with all these channels or everything. It was later on in the game that we got turned on to these channels. And then some of the things that I had thought and had ran past him were before we had heard it on a video, or I hadn't heard it on a video until like years after I said it, even though that video was older than when I said it. So, I mean, that's kind of why I tend not to watch videos. Like I said, I don't want it to taint my opinion. I don't want it to taint. Yep. Well, she said tainting quite a bit, so I figured I had to get at least a couple more taints in there.
Yeah.
But I mean,
taint.
Yeah, there are a couple theories that I've come up with that then later I've seen people put videos out on, and I'm like, oh man, I hope if I ever like talk about it that people don't just assume that I've stolen the theory. I mean, it doesn't ultimately matter, like stolen the theory. It doesn't ultimately matter in the end, but like we're all reading the same books and we're bound to come to similar conclusions. You know what I mean? Like somebody having the same theory as you doesn't necessarily mean that they saw your theory and came up with it, you know, and took it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's not difficult for more than one person to come up with the same theory. It lends credence to your theory, I think.
Yeah,
like
if
more
anything.
than one person came up with it, then it's like, okay, so I'm not crazy. Maybe I'm onto something here. You know what I mean?
Let's put our heads together and expand on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And to those mean people out there, and you know who you are, calling someone's theory an opinion is exactly right. It is an opinion because all theories are an opinion. So don't be mean.
And there's no need to be a dick about it, Dia.
There you go. Richard says, when people claim we only think R plus L is obvious because of time and internet theories, I wonder if they are really that bad at this.
Right?
Life. Imagine.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean that is not a crazy complicated theory to come up with. You know what I mean? Like it's
one of the it's low hanging fruit for this story.
That I agree.
R plus L equals J is extremely low hanging fruit.
I agree.
But as we were saying yesterday, there are things, and I think that's what if we do this next Wednesday, that's what we need to discuss: the pros and cons to R plus L equals J, and N plus A equals J.
I did too on the first read. It's okay. First of all, Jeffrey, your skin is almost as white as the hair. Well, if you were a vampire who only bathed in virgin's blood to stay young forever, you could look like this too. And Richard says that his brother also thought on the first read, but so did I. I did too at first, because you do that first read through and then you have to like go back and make your way through, and you're learning more and more and more and more. And now I look back on the girl who thought R plus L equals J, and I was like,
yeah.
Pod.
It got canceled because of snow in your area. Now we're headed to Florida to get murdered.
But yeah, if we do this next Wednesday, and I hope we do, let's do the pros and cons. Because I mean, like I said at the beginning, I don't like to argue. I don't like to try to 100% change your mind. I mean, we're all in agreement on the N plus A equals J. But I mean, I don't want to make fun of. I don't want to put down. I'd like to throw out the reasons why people think that it is R plus L equals J.
Sure.
With a straight face, not pointing and laughing at them, and then point out the reasons why most of the people that we know think that it's N plus A. Verimir, nice for you to join us. Where are you finding all these virgins to bleed?
You have to earn them. You have to like go downtown on a Saturday and trap one. You think it's easy to find one downtown on a Saturday? It's not.
They haven't bled, so they're fast. I'll go ahead and tell you.
Saturday.
Like a rare Pokemon.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Jon Snow's parentage, like I'm wide open. I'm not convinced in any direction at all. I don't like R plus L equals J. I think it's lame. It's not my favorite option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
anything else, I'm going to be so immature about that. I'm going to be all over. I'm going to be like, I fucking told you so. I'm going to make like a music video. Like we're going to be like harmonizing. Like that. Yeah, it's going to be terrible.
Look, if it turns out that if it turns out that R plus L equals J is not true, we will be completely and utterly like nobody will be able to deal with us. It will be bad.
As soon as you said that, I did a video, and the reason I did a video is because another YouTuber hates this theory, and I added on to the theory. The theory that they hate is that Gendry is a legitimate son of Robert and Cersei swap, that type thing. Right. And in that video, I theorized with my opinion, you know who you are, people out there, my opinion that as far as pulling forth from fire a sword, and that sword shall be Lightbringer, Gendry's the only blacksmith in our story that we're working with that could possibly have Targaryen blood in him through his mother and a little bit on his father, which would
definitely through his father alone, even.
Yeah, but Cersei would put him in the bloodline that it was prophesied that the Azor Ahai was going to be born from. These two had to marry I think it's the parents of Aerys or his grandparents through that bloodline. Azor Ahai is to be born. If Gendry is actually Cersei's son, then he is of that bloodline. He is the only character that works with blacksmithing, so he would be the only character. Also worked with a man that knew how to reforge Valyrian steel. But I mean, it's so thin. It's like cigarette paper, plastic thin. You can see through it. You can put it as glasses. It's so thin. But I loved it. The only reason I did it is because that person hated that theory. Right. And then as I'm doing the video, I just continued on with it to the Azor Ahai. But at the end of the video, I said, if I'm right on this, you all will never like me ever again. My head would be so big, I would mention it every day. I would say it as soon as I got on live streams, as soon as I did a video.
I'm gonna get my shame bells out. I'm gonna be
like, exactly. I mean, y'all would hate me if that one is true.
I would absolutely
for sure
hate you.
Pod says, go ahead. If it's true, and I am going to buy X from Elon and change its name to N plus A equals J.
Well,
And
look.
then
By the time we find out for real, X will probably be worth $3, and you'll probably be able to buy it for
shame.
Shame.
Elon Musk has to shave his head, and we'll stand in front of him with a belt.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're for the first theory video live stream. We're about 10 minutes over our normal running time. I had a blast. I appreciate Lady Thistle doing this. When I said it to her yesterday, she didn't know it was going to be today. She was possibly thinking that it was next Wednesday. So
She's like,
I appreciate her. I appreciate her doing it on short notice. I know she likes to be a lot more prepared than she thinks she was today. You did great. All your points were spot on. Lizzie, is I said yesterday, you're world famous now. You're on like everybody's live streams.
2.
I know. Well, you've been on 3.
Oh yeah, I did. 3.
Yeah, go ahead and plug the ones that you've been on.
I'm an influencer now.
I know.
You are. I'm influenced.
I'm waiting for the workout video.
Yeah, we did a video with Nettles, and that was really the girl Nettles. And then just recently, this last Sunday, I was on Sanry Scribbles, and it was super fun. We made Baggins a gamer, and he had headphones and the fanny pack, and he was just like getting down, having adventures with Emily's dog Tibbles. So yeah,
we in this household love her artwork. Chris has 2 of her shirts. One is Gray Wind, the other is Ghost. And she's without a doubt a phenom in the Song of Ice and Fire community. So, like I said, you're world famous.
Super talented.
But you just let all those other channels know you were on my live stream first.
Yeah.
I hope.
Discovered by
I knew you win. I was just selling Rolexes on the side of the road, and
I know. I'm like Harvey Weinstein.
Sure.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I'm kidding. My couch is a chair, just so you know. But all right, we'll be back Wednesday. I know, redacted. But we'll be back Friday with Richard. I don't even know. I think it's a cat chapter. I'm not sure. I have to look up his email to find out which one it is. Again, I thank Lady Thistle for joining us for the first time. I thank Lizzie for joining. This is like your second or third maybe?
I think it's my second time.
Okay. I was thinking 3 for some reason, but again, appreciate you joining us, especially on short notice. You didn't find out about it till yesterday either. I would like to continue doing some type of theory stuff on Wednesdays just to keep the 3 live streams. This month's or year and month has been kind of crappy as far as putting out regular live streams. Kids out of school, kids sick, holidays, bad weather, canceling school. They think thunderstorms here is as bad as the 20 feet of snow y'all were getting up there. But hopefully we'll be back on track. Wednesday will be theories. Monday, Friday will be the rereads on the chapters. Again, I thank Richard for him doing it. I thank everybody that joined us today. We got up to 9 viewers. We're down to 7. That means I started talking.
We got up to 10 viewers.
Oh, we did? Oh, ooh, I started talking and 3 of them ran away.
Hey, 10 viewers and 2 biggest fans are not watching it.
That means if it was a regular one, we'd have got up to 12. Double digits is kind of it's getting thin up here. I mean, the hat's getting tight.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, I know.
I say if you get up to like X amount of subscribers, Lady Thistle does her Stoneheart cosplay for live stream, because that is
yes, that would be awesome.
Like that video. Let's get likes on the video, and if we get to, how many do you think we should get to before Lady Stoneheart comes out?
Well, I usually only get like 14 views, so I mean,
let's get likes.
Let's get it out there. Maybe get 15. Oh, I mean, it's still double digits.
Like that video, guys. Let's
there you go.
Video. Let's get Lady Thistle dressing up as Stoneheart, because her cosplay and prosthetics are amazing.
I have 2 accounts, so I get to like it twice.
Sorry, Lady Thistle. I just volunteered you for that. That was rude. So hard to find your help these days, am I right?
I'm super flaky, so you don't I might not even show up, dude.
Yeah. Have you not watched any of my videos? I'm flaky as all get out. I mean, but all right. Thank y'all again for joining us. Thank y'all for watching. We
Thanks, you
will see
guys.
everybody on Friday. Y'all have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye.
Enjoy Hump Day.
Woo!
Hump day.
That's the first time I said it. Usually it's all that I
You
can
love
say
it,
on
boss.
Wednesday.
You love it.
There you go. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.